The storm outside Poenari Castle had raged for hours, the wind howling through the ancient stone ruins, rattling the thick iron doors and sending chilling echoes through the empty halls. Elena stood in the heart of the castle, surrounded by the fractured remnants of Vlad's past, a desolate reminder of the power and terror that had once ruled this land. She had returned, unwillingly, to the site of the curse, and yet, it felt like fate had drawn her back. The manuscript pulsed in her hands, its pages now warm to the touch, as if alive with the weight of centuries of secrets, blood, and forgotten pacts. The words she had read were not just history, they were an invitation. A warning. As Elena traced the symbols in the manuscript, the ground beneath her feet seemed to tremble, just a whisper of an earthquake, a warning that something was waking, something long buried. The walls groaned in response, as though the castle itself was awakening to the presence of its old master. And then, the air shifted. A gust of cold wind swept through the room, extinguishing the candles she had lit in her frantic attempt to decipher the manuscript's final pages. Shadows danced unnaturally, elongating across the walls like monstrous, twisting figures. She felt a familiar pull, a weight deep in her chest, an ache that she had tried to ignore, but could no longer escape. Her bloodline, tied to Vlad's, was awakening too. The manuscript was speaking, not in words, but in visions. Elena's mind was pulled into the past, the burning of Anka, the scream of Vlad as he failed to save the woman he loved, his unholy pact with the crimson veil that had stolen his soul and cursed his legacy. As the vision swirled around her, she saw the image of Radu, the betrayer, the brother who had consigned Vlad to eternity. The manuscript's ink seemed to bleed across the page, each word a flickering echo of a time long gone, as if the ritual had been set in motion once more. But there was something new, something ominous. A passage that had not been there before, one Elena had not seen in any of her prior readings. When the blood of the betrayer mingles with the blood of the bound, the seal shall shatter, and the master shall return. A soul will be lost, and a kingdom shall rise again. Her heart stuttered. It wasn't just Vlad who was awakening. The ritual, triggered by her reading, was pulling him from the beyond, but in the process, she was risking everything, her life, her mind, and her soul. She could feel the call to return to the past, to the man who had been her ancestor, her legacy, and now, her burden. She had unwittingly become the key to Vlad's resurrection. Elena staggered backward as the air grew thick with an unnatural fog, her vision blurring. The ground beneath her feet cracked, and the castle groaned, as though the very bones of the earth were breaking open. The stone walls seemed to bleed, dripping with a dark, viscous liquid, blood. It was happening. Through the walls of the castle, Elena heard the unmistakable sound of hooves, the thunderous gallop of riders coming from the distance. Her breath caught in her throat. They were coming. The moon above the castle shifted unnaturally, a dark shadow passing over it, dimming its light. And then, as though pulled by some unseen force, the earth beneath her shifted. From deep within the catacombs below Poenari, a sound rose, a scraping, as though the dead were stirring. The ritual was complete. A figure rose from the darkened passageway below, its form towering and unmistakable. Vlad. But this was not the man she had seen in the faded portraits, the man of legend and myth. This was something else. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly fire, his once pristine armor now twisted and corrupted by centuries of torment. His body, though appearing human, was an impossibly perfect fusion of man and something darker, something that transcended mortal understanding. And his gaze fell on Elena. She gasped, her breath caught in her throat as his lips parted, a low growl rising from the depths of his chest. A sound that echoed the horrors of centuries, of battles fought, of lives torn asunder. "Daughter," he said, his voice thick with both agony and hunger. "You have summoned me. Now, I am yours to command." The words fell like an iron hammer on her chest. He knew her. He recognized her. But why? What was she to him? Before she could ask, a figure stepped out from the shadows, causing her to jump. It was Radu. He stood across the room, watching with an unreadable expression. His eyes were darker than she remembered, and his presence was colder, sharper, like a blade to the throat. "You've done it, little one," he said, his voice soft but laced with malice. "You've freed him." Elena stumbled back, her mind racing. Radu was here. Alive. In the flesh. "Why?" she whispered, her voice cracking. "Why betray your brother? Why bind him like this?" Radu's lips curled into a cold smile, his gaze flicking to Vlad's form, still standing in the shadows. "You don't understand, Elena. This," he gestured to Vlad, "is not a resurrection. This is the beginning." The moon outside the castle darkened, and for the first time, Elena understood the true cost of her actions. The ritual had begun. And now, no one, least of all her, could escape the consequences.